Hi everyone, welcome to Link Together, the Art of Human Connection. I'm Leanne Isaacson and I'm in Adelaide in South Australia. And this week I'd like to welcome my guest Dan Currier from New York. And Dan is he's a YouTuber and he's the creator of Creator Fundamentals, a YouTube channel. And so welcome Dan, and thank you very much for being a guest on my show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, Dan, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are? And I mean, as I said, I'm in Adelaide in South Australia, so I always say I'm at the bottom of the world, but I'm in your future because it's my Thursday morning and it's your Wednesday night. So you're at the top of the world. So yeah, just tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Dan Currier. I run a YouTube channel called Creator Fundamentals, and the goal of that channel is to help new YouTubers build a foundation for YouTube success. And what that basically means is giving them the foundational good practices to help grow their channel in the right direction and help them avoid some of the pitfalls that new YouTubers often run into that can kind of hurt their channel and affect their growth.
So Dan, I know that we talked a little bit earlier about that you actually have you have a day job. So what do you do during the day?
I am actually an analyst for an e-discovery company, and I work in an Oracle database environment where basically problem solving, which is kind of what led me into the realm of setting up Creative Fundamentals. I think I have a knack for problem solving, and this channel was an opportunity for me to help solve some common problems that new YouTubers face.
So I'm assuming that the algorithms and all of that sort of thing are things that you understand and press your buttons.
Well, as far as YouTube goes, everybody's constantly trying to understand the algorithm, but I do find it fascinating, and the idea of trying to master it and it being kind of this ongoing jigsaw puzzle really makes it something interesting and something that I enjoy researching and trying to learn exactly what it's doing and how to use that to the advantage of new YouTubers.
I think any platform's algorithms, if anyone can actually understand them, I reckon you'd be multi-trillionaires if someone could actually really master the algorithms, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, some of the Daryl Eves, for example, who is kind of the godfather of the YouTube algorithm. He's somebody that has a company that does a lot of research on it, and even he admits that it's all based on the data that he has available. Even YouTube these days doesn't really know all the decisions the algorithm is going to make because it is artificial intelligence. So it's learning and adapting and trying to come up with its best guess on how to interpret what content's about and what people want to see.
So Dan, how did you get into YouTube? Like, has it just been recent, or have you been on YouTube for a fair while?
I have been on YouTube for several years with just a general channel like most people had, which was just a place to put videos and share with family and whatnot. A couple of years ago, I started an actual focus channel called The Average Dan, which was basically my answer to addressing maintenance issues and things that when I needed to solve a problem, I'd go on YouTube and look for a video on how to do it. When I didn't find one, I'd record my own video so the next guy along wouldn't have the same problem that I did. So that's how that channel started. And when I was creating that channel, another thing that my wife and I did was a renovation project on an old camper. So I made 7 or 8 videos on that topic and shared those. And 2 years later, those are the most popular videos on that channel. And because my wife and I just recently purchased a new camper, we decided that The Average Dan should be focused on RV camping because that's what people seem to be in tune with, and that's kind of what it's built a reputation for. And with the introduction of the new camper, we have an opportunity to create all new memories with the family and share those with everybody.
Okay, so as far as the The Average Dan YouTube channel, so how, did you purposely set out to grow that, or was that just something that organically happened? So how did that happen?
So, like I mentioned, I started it 2 years ago. I didn't know anything about growth or that there was even a method for growth. This past April is when I really started to do research, and I kind of went out and found out who the people were in that space that were the educators, people like Roberto Blake and Brian G. Johnson and Nick Nimmin and Daryl Eves, as we just saw. All of those guys had a variety of content that touched on, how to effectively grow a YouTube channel. So I began the process of doing research through all of them, kind of taking little bits and pieces from them and forming my own, my own process or focus on how growth should work. And then I started to implement it on The Average Dan, and that channel probably grew in a few months, 400 times as fast as what it was doing just sitting there. And that's when I was kind of like, aha, there is a method to this. It does actually work. And one of the things you do as a smaller new YouTuber is get involved, and I recommend this to everybody, is to get involved in the YouTube community, interact with other YouTubers, because the reality is you're not going to be able to talk about YouTube with your family because they don't know what you're talking about. So you get involved with the YouTube community, you start to see what works and doesn't work. And that is how, getting involved in that community and seeing kind of some of the mistakes that people make over and over again led me to the realization that there was a need for creator fundamentals. And I started that so I have a platform to kind of share best practices with people who were just starting out and didn't realize that they were doing things that could negatively affect their channel.
Okay, so as far as I know that, we talked about a couple of the guys that you mentioned, Roberto, and so I know that you went to Vid Summer just recently in LA. So you're in New York, and so what made you actually go to Vid Summer?
So interesting story with that. I had kind of committed myself to not going just because of expense, and it was just in my mind. It's like, yeah, that's in LA. That's really far away. I'm probably not going to do that. And Daryl Eves had actually come out with a video where he was setting up a mentorship program where he was basically offering his services to YouTubers who were, focused on trying to grow their channels. And he said he was going to give special preference to those people who went to Vid Summit. That led to a conversation with my wife in terms of kind of thinking about it, and she seemed on board, so I ran with it. And it was just an awesome opportunity to interact with people, who are experts in the field. But when you meet them, you realize they're just regular guys. You can sit there and have meaningful conversation. And Vid Summit was kind of it was just the obvious choice for wanting to progress a YouTube channel and try to bring the newest and information from experts and people who have been extremely successful on YouTube. And for me, it was a natural fit because I was able to go out, interact with those people, bring back a wealth of knowledge that I'm going to be able to share with my community.
So Dan, one of the things that I probably am not particularly familiar about is, when you say interact with the YouTube community, how do you do that? Like I know, on Facebook, we have Facebook groups and Facebook pages, and, on LinkedIn, there's LinkedIn groups, which aren't, they're a different story. But so on YouTube, like I said, this is just me not knowing very little about how you actually do it. So how do you actually interact with, the community on YouTube?
So the thing about YouTube, maybe the one flaw of YouTube, it doesn't really have a very good social platform in terms of regularly engaging with people. So one of the common ways that people do YouTubers engage with each other is through Facebook groups. I actually have a Creator Fundamentals Facebook group that I created strictly for the purpose of allowing people to interact, ask follow-up questions on a video, and kind of have a more conversational tone and community vibe where they can ask me questions, I can ask them questions, and they can interact with each other. So, and that's a really big thing, because once you get involved in those communities, you learn that you can really learn from the other people who are trying to do what you're doing. So
how did you get people to actually come to your Facebook group?
Well, it was something that I just started sharing with my YouTube community. And I actually, part of my process was because I started this channel with some knowledge on how to get everything started right. One of the important things that you do if you're intending on growing a YouTube channel as a business, which ultimately you want to do for no other purpose than to make it self-supporting, because it does cost, it does take a lot of money and effort and resources to do a YouTube channel. So I created everything from the ground up. When I created my YouTube channel, I created that group. And as I expanded and shared my YouTube channel, I always made it a point to share the community side of it as well. So people understood, not only what the channel was about and the information it provided, but being able to have that community sense and interact and grow the community as the channel grew.
Yeah, I reckon we've got one of your videos that you've created that we can bring up, so for people just have a bit of a look at what you do and how you do it.
Are you ready to grow your channel? Hi and welcome to Creator Fundamentals. My name is Dan Currier and I am here to help you build a foundation for YouTube success. Now, what does that mean exactly? It means setting up your channel to work smarter rather than harder so you can focus on the important stuff. Because believe me, if you're serious about growing your YouTube channel, there'll be plenty of opportunity to work hard. So make sure you click the subscribe button and the bell notification icon, and let's get started on growing your channel.
Fabulous. So Dan, did you so you made that you do all the graphics and everything on your videos as well?
Yeah, that's actually the intro video from the channel. It's intended to give people a general idea of what the channel's about.
Yeah. So I think that Brian has said hello on the YouTube channel. So hey Brian, look, thanks very much for watching. And so Dan, as far as the say the Vid Summit, so you obviously met a lot of people there, and so from the perspective of how do you learn about how do you keep learning about what you do and how you do it?
Well, the biggest thing about a couple different things. So the biggest thing about YouTube is it's always evolving. YouTube does, as Daryl Eves has mentioned on countless occasions, and he would know because he has such a vast collection of data, that YouTube constantly does, they're constantly tweaking the way they do things. Ultimately, their goal is to try, what they really want to do, YouTube's entire platform obviously is, it's money driven for them, and the way they do that is by getting content in front of the people that want to watch that. So they're constantly trying to evaluate and understand exactly what a user wants based on what a user has done. So that is kind of the process that they are continually going through. So in that regard, there's always new information coming out. YouTube forums will post articles that give information about changes. And, otherwise you do research on YouTube, you look for articles, and you learn things through your own testing and your own experience.
Yeah. So as far as, my YouTube, my LinkedIn Live, linked together live YouTube channel doesn't have many subscribers on it. So how important are having subscribers? Is subscribers the be all and end all, or from starting a new YouTube channel, what's the most important thing to do?
So the most common misconception on YouTube is that subscribers matter. And a lot of people look at really large YouTubers, and one of the most prevalent things that YouTube displays, probably to their detriment, is that subscriber count. And the reality, what people who are just starting out on YouTube really need to understand is a high subscriber count is a byproduct of a successfully run channel. You don't gain success by upping your subscribers, because the reality is you could go to a website and buy 10,000 subscribers and impress your friends, but your channel will die. So it's really important to understand that YouTube is driven on watch time. which is basically how long you're able to get your users to watch your content, and also how long you're able to keep users on YouTube. So that is kind of the focus, and there's a number of different ways to drive that home. So I try to cover content that, emphasizes exactly the way YouTube works, discourage bad practices, such as, one of the four-letter words of YouTube is sub for sub, which is basically people going out and trading subscribers with each other because they think that helps their channel grow. And the reality is, first of all, it's a violation of YouTube's terms of service and can get your channel completely killed. Otherwise, they're just empty subscribers. It's kind of like having a theater full of cardboard cutouts of people. You don't really have an audience. You're never going to grow. It's not going to help you. So you're better off learning the way to grow, be patient, and grow your channel the right way.
Yep. So from the perspective of, like a YouTube video, like is there Brian has thanks for all of your help. So Dan, Brian's watching, so and he's thanking you for your help.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Now I've lost my train of thought. No, I was just thinking, like from the perspective of, is there an optimum length of time for a YouTube video, or how much difference does it make as far as engagement and watch time, as far as from a time perspective?
So one of the things at Vid Summit, they actually presented some statistics on the optimal watch time. But I think the bigger thing to consider, rather than how long your video should be, is whether or not your content is engaging. You don't want to focus on creating 10 minutes of a video that nobody wants to watch, because it's better to have a 5-minute video that people are interested in and watch 4 minutes of, than to have a 10-minute video where people only watch 2 minutes and bail. So it's really important that you focus on engaging content, making content that is interesting and keeps the viewers watching. And you definitely want to avoid trying to artificially lengthen a video to get some key length, because ultimately what that's going to do is it's going to create downtime in your video, or moments of uninteresting content, which people are going to bail. So it really doesn't matter if it's 10, 20, or 50 minutes long if it's not interesting.
So from the perspective of, I was just thinking again, someone starting out, with a YouTube channel, what's the first things that they would start to do?
Well, the very first thing that you do when starting a YouTube channel is to make content. There are some kind of pillars of what you really want to focus on as a new YouTuber. And for me, in starting a channel, it boils down to two things, which are community and consistency. And that basically means get involved in YouTube communities, get involved in the good communities, the communities that actually are about people interacting with each other and not trading subscribers. As I mentioned, I have a creator fundamentals group on Facebook that people can join to kind of interact with people. There's also a great small YouTubers group that's actually called Small YouTubers Community. You can find that. That's actually the one that I joined when I decided to grow. And that was one of the places where I learned that there are still people who maybe falling into those bad practices, and kind of how Creator Fundamentals was born.
Yeah. How important is the the actual name of the channel? From say an SEO perspective. So from an SEO perspective, what's the most important thing?
So branding is definitely important. I think what a lot of people don't realize, and it depends on why you're doing YouTube. If you just are passionate about something and you want to make a channel and share videos, then go ahead and do that. Your growth doesn't necessarily have to be the most important thing to you, but if you're somebody who's focused on trying to make something of it, maybe make a little bit of money, at the very least have your channel support itself financially, then branding and SEO is important. Branding on a channel is important for the sense that the majority of people who subscribe to a channel, who are real viewers who are going to come back and watch your content, do so from your channel page. So it's really important that your channel page presents an engaging representation of what your channel's about, what they expect or what they can expect to get from it, and why they should come back. And that's basically what you try to do towards branding. And it's really, branding on a channel is kind of a three-prong approach, which is basically you want your channel art and your thumbnails and your channel icon to all work together to identify your brand and let people know, what it is you're doing and why it's important and why they should care.
Yeah. So from the perspective of, like say, how often, a channel you should actually be, uploading video or going live, and that's probably another thing we can talk about. Like, is there an optimum, do you need to be putting a video up every day or, once a week or so, is it the consistency, or is it, is the content the more key?
Well, consistency is definitely very important. There's a couple things on that. So if you want to, speak like uber concentrated on growth, Daryl Eves and his team and his company recommend at least 3 times a week. But if 3 times a week doesn't work for you, you need to find a schedule that you can commit to. What you don't want to do is say, hey, I'm going to do daily videos, do it for a week, get burned out, and then not post another video for months. You really want to focus on trying to find a schedule that you can actually abide by and stick to. Myself, like I said, I have another career. I'm married. I have 2 kids and 3 wild dogs. So where I recognize I could definitely grow my channel faster, but I also saw the potential of burnout because I do all of my YouTube work between the hours of 9:30 at night till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So if I wanted to keep up that schedule on a weekly basis and do 5 or 7 videos a week, I know that I would burn out quickly. And I'm more concerned with the long game, the longevity of the channel, and understanding that, setting up that schedule is really essential to be able to maintain what it is that you're doing and, continue that, because it's really a long-term game. You really have to be focused on the next 5 years and be committed to the next 5 years to really see the growth that people want to see on a YouTube channel. It's not really a short-term thing. It's not a sprint. So you really want to make sure that whatever schedule you do commit to, that you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah. It's a little bit like, like my LinkedIn network. I've been on LinkedIn now for 10 years. And so it's just a matter of building things over time and sticking to it. And so yeah, obviously YouTube's the same from that perspective. And one of the things I was just thinking, from you talked about you wanted, people need to have a channel that's self-sustaining. So how do people make money from their YouTube channel? So, how do you make it self-sustaining?
The classic way that you make money from a YouTube channel, or at least maybe the way people are familiar with, is by monetizing your channel. And that basically means once a channel reaches 10,000 views, YouTube will allow you to monetize your channel, which basically means when your videos play, ads will appear. The thing about, monetization on a channel is it's really small in the beginning. For a small channel, you're not talking about hundreds of dollars or anything like that. And even the larger channels don't really rely on ad revenue as their primary source of income. So one of the biggest things is, if your goal is to turn your channel into either a career or self-sustaining, you really have to consider ways of diversifying your income. You want multiple income streams. You want to be able to get that ad revenue. Maybe you sell T-shirts with the slogans or the common things that you've built into your brand, sayings, and those kind of things. You want to consider, if you're an educational channel, doing some type of courses that you can sell online. But one of the key things is to diversify, because what recently occurred on YouTube with the whole adpocalypse was there was some pushback from advertisers on YouTube that caused YouTube to reflect on how they posted ads on videos, because there were videos that ended up on videos of questionable content, and that led YouTube to respond by demonetizing, basically taking away that ad revenue from a lot of channels. And there's certainly channels that make their living by kind of edgy content, and they suddenly had their ad revenue cut by like 80%. So when you see that as a potential pitfall, it's really smart to diversify the way in which you're making money. So if one of those, lines of revenue falters, you're not going to take that hit. It's not going to totally eliminate your source of income.
Yeah. So as far as, like even driving driving traffic to your channel. So like, do you do a lot? So do you drive traffic, say, from your, so is it, which way around do you do it? Do you drive traffic from YouTube to other channels or other channels to YouTube? Or is it a mix?
It's in the beginning, if you're trying to grow a YouTube channel, I personally would recommend having everything pointing towards YouTube. One of the things you don't want to do on your YouTube channel is throw a bunch of links that lead externally, because you want to keep people there and watching your content. So when you're first growing a channel, it's better to really minimize the number of external links. Now, maybe if you're doing some like affiliate links and whatnot that may earn you more money than you're making on your ad revenue, that could be an exception to the rule. But you don't want to like plaster all your social media links everywhere and drive people away from your videos, because YouTube rewards you not only for the watch time on your channel, but they also reward you for something called session time, which basically means you get credit for as long as a person stays on YouTube. So maybe they watch your video and the next recommended video is somebody else's, and then they watch 2 or 3 videos in a row. I think we've all been there, where it's like, how did I get to this video? I've just watched 4 videos in a row and now I'm on a cat video. I don't know how I got here. But you're rewarded for the total amount of time that user stays on YouTube. So for that reason, you definitely don't want to push people away. So with that in mind, you start your YouTube channel, you create all those social media accounts in the beginning, because you want to make sure that you capture whatever your unique name is. You want to be marketable. You want to be conscious of your branding, and you do that by securing that name across all the platforms. Even if nobody follows you on Twitter or Instagram or anywhere else, make sure that you lock those in right in the beginning. So when you do have a following and it's time to start building those other social media platforms, that you take advantage of them. It's right there to go, and it's a natural fit. You don't have, your Instagram thing that's like Johnny ABC, and there's just a complete disconnect of the name. So that's.
So I'm talking about the 10,000 views. How difficult is it to get 10,000 views? Is it based on the number of videos? So is it all cumulative, or does it have to be 10,000 views on one particular video?
It's 10,000 views on the channel. In terms of how difficult it is, it's basic. I mean, it can vary. I'm certainly familiar with channels that have been there for a year that don't have 10,000 views. On creator fundamentals, focused on growth, but not all out 7 days a week. I think in the beginning of this channel, I'm averaging 3 or 4 videos a week. And it took this channel probably a little over 3 months to get to 10,000 views. But that can range widely. And one of the things that's really important that I want to put out there is the worst thing you can do on YouTube is try to compare your channel to other channels. It can be very defeating, and every niche and topic is different. You may see that person who has explosive growth, but you don't realize they have 50,000 followers on Instagram. So it's really important you don't get too caught up on how everybody else's channel is doing, and then just do the best you can do. Make your small improvements every time you make a video, and eventually you will grow. The only way to fail on YouTube is to stop.
Yeah. So as far as you talked about having a niche. So how important is that, having an actual channel that is targeted to one particular niche?
In terms of growth, it's very important. But there's no reason why YouTube can't just be this enjoyable thing where you make whatever kind of content you want. You will grow, but the rate at which you grow may be slower than somebody who's ultra focused on a specific topic. Because the reality is, each time you put up a video, or you have that schedule, maybe you're doing a video once a week, your subscribers come to expect a certain type of content. So if I do, you do a fishing video this week and 5 people subscribe, and then next week it's, how to replace a muffler, there's a disconnect there. And those people who joined said, hey, I'm not really getting what I signed on for, and they leave. The other thing to consider, though, is that losing subscribers is a completely natural thing that every channel does. So don't get discouraged if your channel loses subscribers. It happens to all of us every day.
Yeah, it's a little bit like an email list, isn't it? You know, don't get too attached to your subscribers on an email list, because you know there's a range of reasons why people come and go. So yeah, that's an interesting, and I suppose when you're first actually starting a channel, when you don't have a lot of subscribers, if you do see people leave, you think, oh, am I doing the wrong thing? Or so that certainly is something to keep in mind as well. So from the perspective of again, you know, like monetizing a channel, and so say if you did have a couple of niches, are you better off actually creating different channels, or you just go with one and focus on that? So you know, from the perspective of content creation, is it better to just stick to one?
If your focus is growth, then I would say that separate channels are probably better. I mean, there's certainly a challenge that from, you know, either a hobby or, you know, focusing on a channel to grow. It's really hard to focus on more than one channel and give it everything that it deserves and needs to grow as quickly as it can. So sometimes you have to make sacrifices if your goal is growth. It can't necessarily always be about the content you want to make, which is totally fine. If you want to make whatever kind of content you can, and you'll have a channel and it will grow. But trying to say, hey, I want to make my, you know, the content that makes me feel good, plus I want to grow super fast. Sometimes you got to make compromises there to kind of, you know, adjust your expectations to what the audience that you've built is actually looking for.
Yeah. So I just you know had another thought. You know, we talked about the Vid Summit, and I know earlier there was a photo of you and Gary V, which just made me think about, you know, some of the content that he creates, and you know, I think from the perspective of having you know, we talk about branding as well, and you know, I know that you know, certainly some of the, you know, some YouTube and some videos, you know, at the moment we can see, you know, I'm sitting, you know, in front of my white wall with my flowers, and that's, you know, that sort of tends to be what my branding is at this point in time. But you know, there's a lot of people that just, you know, put videos out from wherever they are, and that just made me think about Gary V. You know, the amount of videos we see, you know, him either sitting in his car or sitting at the airport, and you know, so from your perspective, you know, how important is it to have like a constant brand? You know, like does it do a channel to start with any harm by having a bit of a mix of different sorts of videos on it? You know, like bringing that personal stuff into your channel, is that important, or does that, you know, in your opinion, do your credibility harm?
I think it does your credibility harm. Like I said, you can certainly kind of do whatever type of content you want to do. But, you know, I mean, when you look at somebody like Gary V, Gary's brand is hustle. So him doing videos where somebody's just following him around with that hustle is kind of, you know, it is his brand. So he's doing exactly what, you know, people expect from his brand. And I think that works well for him. But, you know, the important thing right when you're beginning is to create content. That is that is the most important thing. You can start to kind of focus everything in as you go along, but you really need to focus on getting that content going and consistent. And then, you know, you can kind of work on all the elements that polish it out.
Yeah. And just thinking about that photo with Gary, how did that come about?
Gary was the keynote speaker at Vid Summit, and I had the opportunity following. It was actually interesting because when the conference first started, obviously, I don't know, I think there were like 800 people there, but I, you know, slowly worked my way to the front of the room, and made sure I had a front row seat for a couple different speakers, including Gary Vee, because I really wanted to absorb everything and, bring as much value back as I could. And just had the opportunity to speak with him briefly after his keynote presentation, which was fantastic. And one of the things that he delivered in his message was that 98% of the people out there don't really appreciate and understand what it is to be a YouTuber and to be a content creator. And there's a lot of opportunity there to get started, even now, regardless of what anybody might tell you, whether YouTube is dead or anything. It's a vibrant platform that holds a lot of opportunity, and it was definitely great to get a chance to take that picture with him.
Yeah. So Dan, from the sorry, just there we go. So from the perspective of, if there were three things that you would give someone 3 tips for someone wanting to start out on a YouTube channel, what would the 3 most important things be?
Number 1 is start now. And that is basically, just start making videos. If you're uncomfortable in front of a camera, or, the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be. So you definitely want to just start. Also, the importance of community. You can't overestimate how important that is. So join the small YouTuber communities, start to talk to other YouTubers, see what it's all about, see how they do things, and make content, get involved in the community, and then try to come up with a consistent schedule that you can live up to. Those are definitely the 3 ways, the best ways to get started there.
Fantastic. Just has made me think. So from the perspective of timing of you talked about consistency and, the amount of times of posting, say, in a week. Does timing matter, as far as a time of day, or does that matter?
So once you've developed an audience, it may matter. It's good to have a consistent schedule. If you've decided that you're going to release videos every Wednesday or every Tuesday and Thursday, it's nice to be consistent with that schedule so people know when to expect your content. There's also apps or plugins and things that help YouTubers that kind of provide insight into when the best time is to post a video, and you can use those to kind of base that on. But the reality is, try to get a sense of where your audience is. If your audience is in the U.S. and you're on the East Coast, for example, try to post videos when the most people are awake and in a position to watch your content, because the number of views your videos get right when they start is really important. So you definitely want to have that good push when a video is first released to get as much activity on it in the first 24 hours as you can.
Yeah, fabulous. Well, look, thanks, Dan. Look, it's been a pleasure. I think that probably some people might not realise that I've literally just, I connected with Dan on LinkedIn and literally just started talking to him tonight just before the show. So it's been really interesting being able to find out more about you, and yeah, hopefully I'll certainly get you to give me a hand with my YouTube channel, seeing it's certainly very new, and that would be fantastic. So Dan, look, thanks. So if people would like to, can you just let people know, your YouTube channel and your Facebook group, as far as from interacting with the YouTube community. So can you tell people how they can actually get in touch with you and work with you?
Yep, you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/creatorfundamentals. You can also check out the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/creatorfundamentals, or you can just search for Creator Fundamentals on Facebook, and the group will show up there. So definitely, join the group, join the channel, and reach out and say hello. Let me know that you heard about this here, and be happy to talk with you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure. So for people watching on Facebook Live, watching the replay, look, thanks very much for watching again tonight or this morning, whichever part of, whether you're at the top of the world, it's your evening. If you're at the bottom of the world, it's our day. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching on YouTube and people watching the replay. Thanks again. Again, follow me on LinkedIn and follow the linked together live Facebook page and also YouTube channel. So I look forward to bringing you another episode of Link Together, the Art of Human Connection next week. So thanks very much, and I'll see you later.